No audio, but there we are. Hi. What's up, gangsters? Hello, and welcome to another episode. You know, we're doing this again. Every other week nowadays. The beat reviews. Accurate beats, beat reviews on YouTube. As live streams. Nothing else. So, hello people, what's up? I know I'm a little bit late to this party. We were supposed to start at 12 minutes ago. But it is what it is. We are here. Eventually. So, yeah. As you can obviously see, I always have my issues with my streaming setup. So this camera is fine. And this camera is not fine. But it is what it is. I'm going to fix that later on. But for now, you know. If someone could come here and actually tell me what to do with my USB connections, that would just help a lot, because it's a lot. It's crazy. And that's why we're getting this inconsistent framing. Whatever. Hello people, what's up? As always, we are here to listen to beats, listen to music, and share our thoughts and opinions about said music. The music has been made by you guys. You are willing to submit your own beats to this live show in just a couple of minutes. I'm going to open up the floodgate on the website to enable you guys to actually send your beats to the show. No strings attached, no questions asked, nothing like that. Just if you made music, you're a producer making beats, or making whatever type of music you do, you're more than welcome to submit the stuff to me, and we're going to play it on the show and talk about them. We normally try to keep things somewhat constructive, and I'm always being kind of a douchebag as well, and trying to find things that could be better, or things that sticks out a little bit, or whatever. And I see that as my job in this case. And I'm also getting a lot of assistance from you guys, helping out in the chat room, telling you guys what to think about. And, it's not all about my opinions. It's also about your opinions and your music and everything like that. And accuratebeats.com. Oh, that's bad. Sorry about that. accuratebeats.com. This one right here. That's my website. And if you go to that site and you click into beat review, you will be able to submit a beat in a couple of minutes. I just need to do this live because I suck. So talk amongst yourself, and I'm going to fix this in a second. Send beats here. So I'm going to create a link on the website. This is a whole thing. I should always prepare this in beforehand, but I never do. So at least this is better than nothing, right? So that's going to be the one, I think. Pretty sure, actually. And we need to do some type of underlining here. Maybe like that. And save. So that should work. Go to accuratebeats.com, go to the beat review page, and click send beats here. And when you go there, you're going to enter this form where you can submit your first and last name, or your artist name. Looks kind of strange, but whatever. Type something. Also an email if you want to, and a message. Some type of message. Doesn't need to be a whole novel, but just something. Telling me what type of gear you made the beat on, or what it is, or why you made it, or if it's a part of something, whatever. And then upload the file. And it has to be less than 10 megabytes, because that's just what my internet website provider does. And, that's what it is. So that needs to be done. And all of that stuff is done by going here, accuratebeats.com. Someone was a little bit confused about this entire thing, and I just want to point it out. I'm not charging for this, which would be crazy. I'm not, you don't have to be a professional. You can be whoever. Your first beat ever, or if you've been into this game for like 20 years, I don't care. We're here to listen to everything. And that could be one of those things that could be good to say in the message field. If you're a completely new beginner, or if you're like, if you've been into the thing for a while. That kind of information is sometimes really helpful. And again, please don't send me any AI-generated stuff, because that's not what this is about. This is about you, your music, the beats, the creativity that goes behind that, which is more than just creating a prompt for some kind of AI-generative stuff. So, with all that said and done, it's time to check out the chat room. For real. Blaze Beats is in the house. Good to see you. Same thing goes for Salberts, of course. Bosco, Raphael Lawyer, who is Raw Digs, my bad. Kane TV, Carbon Vibes, glad to have you here. Mickey Cuts, Key2 Beats, a lot of people we recognize from before. HNBK says, hello, hi to you. Stormborn Music, and James Rockwell's in the building too. James Rockwell. That's one of the things about being from Sweden. Some of the most normal, most common things for an American feels like, I don't want to say that it sounds cool or that it's, but I am super heavily influenced by everything around American culture. So just a name like James Rockwell to me is like, yeah. My name is not that cool. My real name is Andreas. So, Andreas, that's one thing. James Rockwell, that's on a whole different level. Me geeking out about normal American stuff. But, whatever. Good evening, Owl, says Buzz Music, and Beat Owl is also in the house. Mickey Cuts, Atimonos, glad to have you here. I know I was a little bit harsh on you the last time you submitted a beat, and please don't let that scare you off. Again, I'm trying to keep things constructive and somewhat positive, but sometimes the best thing to do is just to be a little bit critical too, and point out where things maybe went a little bit south. Stormborn actually had some time to watch live this week. Cool. I appreciate that. James Rockwell, I'm so sampling this. Yeah, you're more than welcome to sample my voice saying James Rockwell. That's one of the worst parts about me, my speaking voice. Always been this way. It is what it is. My real name is J.R. White. Not a great rapper name. Compared to Andreas, yeah. I mean, Andreas is kind of cool just because of GTA San Andreas, but in Swedish, it's Andreas. It's like a Christian name, and it's all stiff, Some people need to hear the truth. Yeah, Blaze Beats, I agree. Some people need to hear the truth. And I never want to be negative or bash on anyone. I don't want to be, we want to keep the good spirits about creativity and all that stuff. But sometimes when it's kind of obvious to me that this little bit of work could take your production to a whole new level, yeah, I'm going to point it out. I am. By the way, if you haven't been here for a few weeks, we have made some changes in how the entire thing works. Now, I used to have this concept of that, everyone gets played. And that's just not possible. So nowadays, I'm just opening up the inbox of the submissions from you guys, from the website, and I go by them as randomly as possible to just pick a few ones to listen to. Ideally, I want to be able to cover everything. I want to, I want to give everyone the time of the day to be played, but it's just not possible. And then it becomes a competition of how fast your internet speed is, and that makes even less sense. So doing this randomly is the way I do it these days. And it's, again, to not create any confusion, I'm gonna keep talking about the emails, because a submission on the website becomes an email to me, nice and properly laid out. So I'm not accepting beats over email, but your submissions becomes email. And it's going to the wrong email address, which is not a good thing, but it is what it is. So let's get into this. There we are. Super difficult for me to track how many submissions we have. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is actually better in one way because it doesn't like cram up the way it does. But yeah, we have more than 15 submissions so far, which is cool. Awesome stuff. Compared to 41 viewers. So, a lot of you guys are submitting beats, and I love it. I love it. Quasimodo, aka Mr. Biggs, and that's not Quasimodo. It's not Madlib. Says, "What's up? I'm glad I caught the stream for once." Yeah, me too. I appreciate having you here. And his next message is, "We appreciate you, Accurate." I appreciate you too. And this entire thing. I just love it. So I haven't done anything to the camera. Let's just see. It's still as crappy. Well, nothing's gonna just fix itself automatically. So let me fix that cable real quick. So the cable should be fixed and we should be up and running, and that camera looks better. In terms of frames, but in terms of temperature, nah. Well, the auto balance is actually set to auto. So who cares? I know that no one cares about these things more than me, other than myself. So whatever. As long as the video flows as it should, I'm good. And Quasimodo tells you guys to hit the like button. And that's a suggestion from him. So who am I to say anything else, Do I see new gear on the table? No, you actually don't. I think no, you don't. What you can see though is old gear. The Tractor C2 mixer. Over here. The new Mark Scratch, the new one I got not too long ago, and also the C2 from Native Instruments back again. Because this one is now compatible somehow with Serato. And I think I like this mixer in general more than this one. So I might be switching back to using that one. Let's show Accurate Beats how much we appreciate him with everyone hitting that like button. Yeah, that would be nice. A like button tells me that you enjoy the video, you like it. And it's nice being liked. I like being liked. Speaking like a true YouTuber, right? We also have that camera today. Because why not, So let's check in on these submissions again, just to make sure, it keeps coming in. They keep coming in, which is awesome to see. So freaking cool. So cool. So we need to do a little bit of window management, because my computer gets, there's a lot of stuff going on at once. So we don't need the audio from these things. Just makes me confused. You know, let's actually get into this. Let's start listening to some submissions. Let's play some beats. First one comes from Fred. No, it doesn't say Fred. Okay, Windows. So the first beat for today comes from Farid B. Ferid B. Hi, accurate. Love your channel and thanks for doing this. And then we have an audio file, and I can't download it because fuck you. I just did the two-step authentication stuff before this. Now it doesn't work again. Because it's different. Yeah, okay, this is Safari. Okay, so my bad. Let me just try to hide my keyboard. That makes sense. The password is incorrect. No, it's the same password. Okay, let's do it this way. Waiting for yet another verification code. I did this 5 minutes ago, just before going live. And now we need to do it again. Well, hold on. Actually just waiting for an email to arrive. Like watching paint dry. And there we are. Okay, cool. So now we are in this bitch. Yes, now it works. Cool. Cool. No audio though. Jesus. It's not supposed to be this difficult, I know. But sometimes it just is. I know my way around tech, you know? Trust me. But sometimes some things just doesn't work. The audio should come through my audio interface, right? Output, universal audio, 1212. Cool. We still have audio there, right? Yes. VLC, media player. Fuck. This worked before. I tried this before going live. I promise I did. Why doesn't it work now? Let's switch to that one. People have been using... That works. Okay, cool. So switch to this one. Doesn't work. I am so sorry, guys. This is not what it's supposed to be like. So the audio somehow doesn't come through. And the settings on the Mac is... they are what they should, you know. Nothing's wrong over here. Okay. Take it easy, don't stress out. It's not that important. This is all just for fun, right? But we still want things to work. Okay, so I might need to like reboot my audio interface, which means that the audio from my voice is also going to cut out. So I'm going to be patient about this, and I'm going to ask you guys to be patient as well. It's going to become silent, and I know why. Hold on. Three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we are. Audio. So that audio now works. And that audio also works. Sometimes just a quick reboot is all you need, you know? Cool. So we're back on track. And right now we are listening to Farid. Yeah, that's right. Farid B. Let's go.
Man, people have been using me all my life. Yeah. That hunky's using me, so what? You know, I'm glad he's using me. Because I'm gonna make a piss pot full of money. And I'm gonna live like a prince, a fucking black prince.
Buy me some time, baby. Some time that isn't all fucked up with things we gotta do. Just to be free.
Cool. A little bit of an outro too. So yeah, starting off with some pure fire. That's a nice beat. Nice beat. Saw the production, had pretty much all the stuff in there. What I'm noticing about this one, like, I know what it's like to work with samples, right? Sometimes, depending on what material you have and where you got it from, you kind of just have to live with poor audio quality. Some people just adds a bunch of effects and stuff to make things sound worse than they did. In this case, I think it's an actual case of the sample not being, you know, hi-fi or high definition audio at all. Sampled from YouTube or whatever. An old movie or something. Nice production, but you know, the audio quality of the sample makes it harsher and more like uncomfortable than it needs to be. You balance that nicely with like drums and the bass line and stuff. Someone said that the drums could be louder, and I think that's right. Definitely the snare. You know, you have some good punch in the kick drum and it sits nicely, but the snare could be just a few decibels louder. I think that would help. The bass line is super groovy and just, you know, pulls the entire thing forward. And all the guitars and all the funky things in the background, they're really good. But the audio quality is a little bit of an issue. Depending on what you're going to use this for, you know? In like a SoundCloudy type of mixtape with like a beat tape, this is, no one would care. And it doesn't like destroy the listening experience. That's not what I'm saying either. And Farid says it was YouTube. And yeah, that shows. It shows. When you hear those horns and stuff, if we just had a little bit more, a better frequency response on the entire sample, it would sound better. But what you did with the sample, chopped it up in 2 different sections and just go back and forth between them, I think that's nice. And the bass line and the sample fits really well together. Definitely. Definitely. That's not YouTube. I heard so many of my beats in the show. Quality of the stream is great. Yeah, I'm not talking about the stream. I'm talking about if you got the sample from YouTube, and it's like an old rip of something, and it's like not even, you know, it's not 320 kilohertz. It's worse than that. And then you flip the sample, it's going to keep, you know, you can't solve that. I'm not talking about this video. I'm doing what I can to keep the audio quality somewhat good. But yeah, I think the sample is from YouTube. Because what I'm hearing here is not the YouTube compression that you hear from my stream. You know, I get the direct audio. So what I'm talking about is the actual sample material. But, you know, it has a few variations and it becomes more like bombastic in one part of it and more laid back in one part of it. If this is a beat for a rapper, you know, it's done as it is. And like many of these new school rappers on boom bappy kind of beats likes the snares to be quiet. I would increase the volume a little bit myself, but that's me. Whatever. Thanks a lot to Farid for sending this one in. F-E-R-I-D. Farid. I'm going to call you Farid, you know? Or Farid, I don't know. And then we need to find another way to mark these ones because it's not the way it was. Okay, like that. And just to you know, this little, let's see if there's that one. Yeah. The website, accuratebeats.com, it's still open. You're still able to submit beats to the show. For you, I mean, another half an hour or something. It's open. You're able to submit. If you just came in here and you want to be a part of it, try sending your beat in because I'm picking by random, you know? So go to accuratebeats.com and do the... This is difficult. Where is it? Here. Go to... Okay, this is too hard. Why am I even trying? Go to accuratebeats.com. backwards and everything. Whatever. Another beat. We need more beats. We need more music. Let's find another submission. Oh, we got a lot of them today. Thanks, guys. This is cool. And that's the verification code. Let's not think more about that one. Instead, let's go to this. From DJ Mode. DJ Mode 1. No, DJ Mode. That's what it is. Says, it's just a beat with scratches. Scratches are after the bridge. Okay. But the title of the beat scares me. It's called the DJ Mode Wonky Scratch Try. 150 BPM. So let's just hope that it's some kind of half tempo. 150 is crazy. But let's have a listen. DJ Mode.
DJ Mode says,
That's some cool stuff. Yeah. That's great. I had to fiddle around with the volume a little bit as we played it because I was afraid that I created this distortion stuff on the kick drum. I didn't. Even at a really low volume over here, it still distorts like that. So it's not me. It's not me just going crazy with the volume. The actual beat, the drums, the kick drum distorts in a pretty ugly way. At least the way I see it. I don't like that type of distortion, but it's all subjective. It's all art. It's just what it is. But it's really, really, really refreshing to hear someone who knows scratching submitting something like this. If you think I know how to scratch, it's just trickery. I'm just fooling you. I suck at scratching. I like doing it, and I like my super naivistic style of it. But when it comes to turntablism, I'm not the guy. This one is someone who knows what they're doing in a whole different way, and it's so cool to hear. And to me, it's a thin line between you're good at scratching, you can do all sorts of tricks and stuff, and overusing it. To me, just leaving this section with scratch in here, perfect. And you're not like going too crazy about it, because if you go too crazy with it, it becomes, at least to me, who loves scratching, when it goes over a certain threshold, to me it just becomes irritating to listen to. It's just, you need to leave some space in there. You need to leave some gaps, some space, some air, and you did, even though you really showed that you know how to do it. But when it comes to the beat, apart from this distorted bass drum that I'm not really understanding, it's nice. It has a great feeling to it, and it fits. It works really well as a scratch beat. That's what I'm trying to say. A part of me feels like this glockenspiel, bell kind of stuff. It becomes a little bit repetitive just because the melody itself is so... It's so obvious. It's so distinct. Is that a word? It's not bad, but it becomes a little bit repetitive. And you heard that on the snare hit over here? Listen to the snare. Some of the hits, I don't think that's mixing. I don't think that's like actually you changing the volume of the snare. I think it's the mixing and the brick wall limiting that's going on that just, takes it down sometimes. Because when it hits too closely to the big kick drum, it just gets, instead of being, it becomes, which is not a big thing for someone who doesn't know music production. But if you know what's going on, there's something wrong with the mixing that makes the drums uneven like that. I can't find it, but you know what I'm saying. It's reverb on the last snare. Yeah, never use reverb on snares. People, just don't. There's better things to do in life. But yeah, I like this beat. I think it's good. Maybe there's a little bit too much bass too, but in this genre, I think it makes sense. But it feels a little bit over-processed, to the point where the drums becomes uneven, and it doesn't really, But with that type of scratching on top of it, it's just, I forgive everything, It's just, freaking good. And really fun to have someone who actually knows their way around a turntable submitting something like this. I think it's fun. Great stuff, great stuff. Now, let's move into this one. From Symphonic. Symphonic Beats has sent me a beat. And the message goes, MPC1 as the main driver. Sample flip. Appreciate your content. Symphonic Beats, thank you. The beat is called Funny Guy. Not that that matters, I think, but still. Symphonic Beats, Funny Guy. Let's go.
Really funny. Really funny. What do you mean I'm funny? It's funny, it's a good story. It's funny. You're a funny guy. laugh. I'm here to fucking amuse you. What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Just, you know how you tell a story. What?
No, I don't know. You said it. How do I know? You said I'm funny.
I don't mean to be out of order.
You don't mean to be out of order. Jeez, it's good you don't mean to be out of order, sonny. You call embarrassing me in front of my friends. You don't like to call me a fucking deadbeat. You know, sonny, you're a real fucking mutt. You know the money we spend on this fucking...
Come on, don't be like that.
What do you mean don't be like that? Look at this prick. You think this is funny, huh? You're supposed to be doing this stuff too, you know? You're a funny guy.
Damn, that's a lot of variation, right? Pretty much 2 beats in one with a lot of vocal samples. Vocal speak samples. I don't know. Vocal samples to me is like when you sample a singer, but this is vocal samples in a different way. Really cool stuff. But yeah. And
How the fuck am I funny? What the fuck is so funny about
spoken word, yeah, of course. Of course it is. I mean, this is really good stuff. What stands out about this one to me is the usage of smaller percussive sounds on like the backbeat, creating some triplets or something. Because in this slow tempo, it's easy to kind of like just drop the energy because it's slow and it's like laid back and it's pulling back a little bit. But then you have all these listen to the drums. It sounds like it's kind of a ghost snare being super low mixed. It creates a whole vibe that is so much more than if we didn't have those extra hits. Sure, I'm talking a lot about them, but you know, in this type of context, they make a big difference to me. If we heard this without those tiny hits, it would be more straightforward and less fun, more boring, and you know, obviously someone putting less amount of time into a production. So those help a lot. And then, you know, all the choir samples and everything that's going on. And I think it's smart because the piano line here, that in like, if that was going on for 3 minutes, you would just become crazy about it, you know? But it plays a part and it becomes not repetitive, but it becomes like the main thing that a normal person would focus on. So it helps that you later on go into this.
fucking deadbeat, you know?
This is just a straight up flip. Really cool. Personally, I like the drums a lot. I like the sample. I like how you flipped it. I think this is really good. The bass line is also kind of strong, but doesn't take too much space to be like obnoxious. Straight up, high quality stuff and really good, you know? And all those extra flips, like not doing the expected thing, but just flipping it one more way around. It's really cool. To me, you know, I do a lot of, maybe not always on my live streams whenever I do beats live like that, but I do a lot of work with subtractive EQing. I take out a lot of stuff, a lot of frequencies that doesn't need to be in there to create space between one thing and another, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Doing it too much makes a beat sound just flat and not like glued together, but doing it to a certain extent is pretty much always needed when you're working with samples. And I mention all this because I think Symphonic Beats does a great job of just that. The bass line has its own space in the mix, and it doesn't collide too much with the kick drum. And then I guess the sample had a lot more like low frequency material from the get-go, and it's filtered out in a nice way, and it makes everything sound like tasteful and well produced because it all comes together. Again, just a few seconds and listen to like what's probably the main parts of the sample. You know, the sample probably has lot more bass in there. We just don't get it because you made your own bass line and it's better. So to me, like we can talk for days about like the volumes of the hi-hat hits or the amount of variation in something, but if you don't nail the fundamentals about like creating space for the different things in the mix, I'm not talking about compression and nothing crazy like, yeah, you need to add this amount of saturation on these things. No, just in general, cleaning up the EQ space. Just a little bit. Just taking out a little bit of bass from the sample if you don't need it makes a lot of sense. Because in piano samples, most of the time when you find a nice piano samples that you want to use, there's always way too much stuff in the low frequencies. And keeping that in the mix combined with what you put on top of it becomes too much. Often. And Symphonic Beats says it himself. Yeah, it was really muddy initially. Yeah. Symphonic also says, thanks so much, man. I appreciate the analysis. I was a bit concerned with the bass, but glad you feel it fits well. Yeah, you don't need to think about the bass line here, bro. And I mean, the beat itself has this walking kind of rhythm to it. So leaving the bass line like doom, 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 doom. Sure, you could develop that and go crazy with the notes, but sometimes you don't have to because you have so much stuff going on with the sample and the notes and the spoken word samples. And, you know, you don't need to. You don't need to. But yeah, really great stuff. I mean, so far we've listened to 3 beats, so we're taking it slow today, I'm noticing. But all these 3 tracks has been, you know, the quality today. The quality is good. And someone just downloaded my sample pack for free. Awesome. Awesome. I haven't checked that one out in a while myself, but it's available on the website, accuratebeats.com. Go there to download some whatever. There's a free sample pack you can download. It's been up for years, and I don't know if it's any good, but it's available if you need more samples. No one needs more samples. I know. But still. Symphonic Beats. Thank you. Let's move on. let's move on. Boom. And the beats keeps coming in. So we're just getting more submissions by the minute, which is cool. Not saying that I have like 55 of them, because I don't, but we have enough beats to go for today and more than that. So let's check out a track from Blaze Beats. Blaze Beats says, just having fun chopping samples on FL Studio 20. Yeah, that's one of those things. If I just had the time, I would seriously dive deep into FL Studio and learn and understand that system. A lot of people are hating on it, and I don't understand why. It seems like a totally valid option. The file you sent me, though, the file I got here, well, okay, it showed up in VLC, my bad. So, Windows, there we are. That's the chat. Okay. I need like 6 monitors for this. Do you have a new sample pack outside of Salt? No. I'm still talking about Salt, the old sample pack. I am working on things, but, it's so slow. I am so meticulous about stuff, and I'm just in my own way. I actually have like a folder of, I don't even know, 45 samples that I'm thinking about making into another sample pack. Then I'm getting offers left and right, and I don't even know what to do. So, whatever. Now, this beat came from, who was this? Blaze Beats. Blaze Beats, let's go. So timing this right with the eating, my mouth is just full of stuff. This beat, there's some stuff to talk about here too. We just talked about samples and sample packs and all that stuff. The samples you used for this, the drums, the snare in particular, whoo, that's a snare sound you don't hear every day. And I really like it. Nice. Now, let's not go too deeply into like music theory and stuff, because I don't really know what I'm talking about. But simplistic is cool. Keeping things simple is cool. I like that. I'm a big fan. But imagine someone like a proper piano player playing this. In terms of the notes. Okay. But then not saying that it's too simple. I'm just saying that it's not super interesting. Following that statement up with, it doesn't need to be more interesting because you kind of nail it with the bass line. You know, you need to find a balance in production. That's what I think. In this case, you have some fire drums for sure, and you have a great bass line doing the heavy lifting, and focus on the mic. I don't know. And the piano, the chords going boom, 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 boom. It's, you know, it's a little bit of, it's not that fun. And it doesn't have to be. Every single instrument can't be the main one. And in this case, the piano part is not the main character. The bass line and the drums are. And switching it up like this, leaving like 8-bar patterns or something, one by one, going from one to the next. Awesome. Great stuff. And of course, that last, that one does a lot of work too. And then you have some vocal samples in there left and right. And I mean, that's one way to do it, for sure. If I made this one myself, I would go crazy, like finding different notes on the piano or different, you know, trying to nail every single millisecond of it, just fit it up with stuff. And that's probably the wrong choice for this. I think you did the right thing here, kept it simple, allowing the bass line to like take the place that it deserves. The piano could need more swing. Maybe not. I don't know. More swing. I just think it's the notes itself being a little bit. Yeah, I gotta say being a little bit on the boring side. Not saying that it's boring, but just listening, just analyzing and listening to the chords themselves, it's not that fun. You know, it's just not that fun. But again, it doesn't have to be that fun because I think you kind of nailed it with all the other parts of it. I would sidechain the hi-hats. Well, I don't know what that means. I know what that means. Don't start. I know what it means. This one. And some cool effects and transitions and whatever. But the bass line here is what stands out. The bass line and the drums. Great stuff. Tame or preserved would be how I'd explain it. Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's the better word. The piano feels a little bit tame or a little bit reserved. Sure, I can take that. But you know, English as second language and all that. And also having permanent brain damage, you know, all that stuff. It's just what it is. But Blaze Beats, thanks a lot. You showed us something really cool here. The fact that it's all about the vibe, it's all about the feeling of it. We don't need to think too much about the chords and the progression and whatever when you have a solid production like this. Good work, hands down. Great work, and I appreciate the fact that you're here. Listening to me, reading what other people say in the chat room, being all nice about it. Great stuff. Okay, so mentioning the sample pack made even more people download it. Yeah, feel free to download the sample pack and check it out. If it doesn't resonate with you, like immediately, just take it out, just delete it. It's not that good. It's been around for years. I haven't even double checked if it's good anymore. So, yeah, that's my, you know, take it for what it is. It's free, at least. Now let's move down to on the list over, I don't even know, here. From Laurent Nicolier. Laurent Nicolier. Thanks a lot, Accurate, for the opportunity. And then we have a beat. That's called Larry. Cool. Go, 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 Larry. I know it's not that Larry, but you know. Again, the producer name here, Laurent Nicolier. Let's go. Great stuff. Laurent Nicolier. It's not really a name I remember since before. To me, I don't mean don't take this the wrong way, but this feels to me like a house producer being like inspired by Justice and Daft Punk and stuff like that. Just got a few years older and understood that, beats and hip hop and that kind of stuff, that's what I want to do. Applying like the knowledge from doing house music like that into the beautiful art form of this type of beat making. Because, I can feel a little bit of Daft Punk here, even though it's not a Daft Punk type of track. And that's cool. And maybe there's better references than Daft Punk for this, but that's what I'm thinking. Now, having this type of tempo, this stable, fast tempo, makes you kind of want to swing. It has a nice vibe and has a nice feeling to it, and it makes you want to go like, puts you in a good mood. But it still, it still has some laid-back qualities to it, which is also good. But to me, you did something with the production here that I appreciate, and I think it's cool. With these kinds of samples and these kinds of sounds, you could go even mellower. Going for the same tempo and everything, but just not going as powerful with like compression and stuff to make it more laid back. And that would have been worse to me. Because the fact that you kind of lifted some things in the mix and made them stand out is what makes this one feel as it feels. That's really loud, To me, that's what I'm trying to say. More dynamics and a better, I guess, balance between what's loud and what's silent would make this one, I think it would make it easier to listen to. And in my book, way worse. The fact that you went full on crazy with the volume of pretty much everything, just slamming it, makes a lot of sense. That makes the entire thing feel really cool to me. Because if you wouldn't have done that, you wouldn't have had that much personality left. I mean, all those, the key sounds, I would have put them way further back in the mix. Not as loud. And maybe it's a little bit too loud. You know, balance is always difficult. But I also like the fact that you just went crazy with it. For real. What I'm basically trying to say is that there's a lot of compression going on, and I'm here for it. The energy is definitely there. And that's not just the tempo and the swing, it's also the actual sonics of everything. Because these key sounds mixed differently without as much compression and less volume would just completely ruin the vibe. And those filter things going on, that's why I'm thinking Daft Punk, because this is borderline overproduced, you know, borderline, or is it even overproduced? That might be what it is, and I like it. I think it's cool, you know. If I made this, I would have picked a different sound for the bass line. It's a little bit obnoxious, but it still goes with the style. This type of bass. Larry is also in the chat room and says, thanks a lot for the feedback. Appreciate. Yeah, I could talk about this one for days. Because this is a good example of how production and technique and stylistic choices and creativity like that goes hand in hand with the mixing and the manipulation of all the stuff going on. And we haven't even talked about how things fit together and what's what, because it's obvious. It's all in there, and it's just, it glues. It's really well glued together. But I mean, honestly, there's a lot of rumbly stuff going on in the lower frequencies, which is not just good. But in this style, in this particular case, I think it works beautifully. I don't want to bash on it. I think this is good stuff. And what's crazy is that everything so far has been good. Not just good, but real good. So let's see. Let's keep digging in these submissions and see if we can find something else. I know we can, but let's, everything can't be bangers. That's not fun. It is, but still. The next submission for today comes from someone called Karma Soleil. Karma Soleil. With a message, an actual proper message, saying, I am a multi-genre composer and musician. I wanted a song inspired by old school martial art movies. I love martial art movies, and I wanted to give myself the challenge to make a chill lo-fi tribute. It's on my last album, Milieu. Mil plus U. Milieu. Huh. Cool. So this doesn't sound like someone who doesn't know what they're doing. It sounds like the complete opposite. And that's cool. A multi-genre composer and musician. Just, introducing yourself as a composer and musician. That weighs something. That has some weight, some oomph to it. Composer and musician. Yeah, for sure. I guess I am too. As well as a video editor and whatever. Karma Soleil. Let's go. I think I want to switch to that one. Now. Let's go. Yeah, that's like a train or something. Cool. And Soleil is in the chat under the name Soulful and Nice Productions. Cool. Thanks a lot. In the beginning of this series, we had a lot of submissions. Not like this, but, you know, in the same kind of ballpark. Super lo-fi. And that's cool. Someone said, James Rockwell, I could get a lot of work done with this loop in the background. And that's a compliment. And sure, you know, music to study to. Crazy Cow, or whatever that YouTube channel was called. It's a whole thing. It's a whole scene in itself with like super lo-fi beats. And a part of me appreciates it. And when it comes to something like this, with this amount of details and, you know, so many cool textures and stuff going on in the background, coming in and out of the mix. Oof, good stuff. But unfortunately, since this genre has been flooded with producers just making these kinds of beats, you know, as a factory, it feels a little bit done. Am I saying? And who makes like boom bappy hip hop? That's also been done, I know. But this one stands out to me because there's a lot of work going into this. A lot of details, again, a lot of textures in the background, a lot of cool details, which makes this one stand out and becoming what it is. At first, I did not pick up any of this like old martial art movies references, but then when I noticed like the flutes and stuff, yeah, there's a little bit of some Asian inspiration there for sure. But, you know, for an old school head like me, when you say like martial art movies and music to that, of course, I'm just thinking Wu-Tang Clan and RZA, of course. And that's not what we got. We got kind of the opposite of that. And this is cool. This is a good beat in general. And like, you know, as a lo-fi beat on a playlist, this works wonderfully well. Chilled Cow. Something like that. Yeah, sure. A lot of atmosphere and a lot of textures in there. Yeah, for sure. We can all of us can hear that, and everyone seems to appreciate it. Now, I am always this hard ass sometimes you don't have to put a low pass filter on everything. That's what I think. Some of these textures and the stuff that we're talking about, the small synths in the background going like, they're beautiful. And they don't stand out too much. Fine. But it feels like you applied like a low pass filter on the entire track. And that's what a lot of lo-fi producers do. And to me, I guess it's fine. But it's why? I don't see why. I don't understand it. Sure, it becomes more moody and darker and more like muddy, and that's a vibe. Sure, but then we have other music in the world that actually has a lot of information in the higher frequencies, and this one becomes muddy compared to that. I don't know if you should compare art like that, but you know what I'm saying. To me, it feels like, yeah, I love the strings and everything, but having this one in the background, speaking on top of it, I could even have it louder and it wouldn't like collide with my voice, because I'm doing all these kinds of sounds when I'm speaking, which is in a whole different frequency spectrum than the rest of the music. So it works really well for something like that. But a part of me still, I want some of these frequencies, you know. I'm not saying that it's too muddy or anything. I'm not really sure that I understand why someone would put a low pass filter like this. But you know, we have this string, cello or whatever, and then the flute playing kind of the same role, and I think that's a really good choice too. Like you still have kind of the same note information, and it's doing a similar thing, but it's a different instrument. And the flute is maybe a little bit less slow than the strings are, but still. You're absolutely right. Chill hop has been overplayed. Yeah, unfortunately, I think it has. It does serve a purpose, and it's beautiful and nice for what it is. But compared to all other music in the world, when you do it like this, when you put this much effort behind it, I'm not going to hate on it. I think this is beautiful stuff, flat out. But in the entire world of music makers, yeah, it's unfortunately a genre that's been done and done and done. Soulful, the producer of this one, also says, I know what you mean about the frequencies. I don't have a low pass filter on the track. Makes me wonder what happened when I converted it to MP3. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe I'm making a bigger deal out of this than what it actually is. Maybe it's not a low pass filter on the entire thing. You said that it's not, so it's obviously not. But it's muffled. Not like crazy. It's not too bad. But let me just keep the volume on the same thing and play the last track compared to believe me, it's not all about the volume. It's also about the frequency spectrum. And that's really, really difficult to pick up on when you actually work on it. Because when you're working on it, you kind of get used to it and it feels right. But compared to other music, it's kind of obvious that none of these sounds are in there. Which makes it feel even more like moody and slow and evolving and beautiful. Yeah, but there's a balance. There's a balance. Might just need high boosted. Yeah, maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's just a matter of slapping some kind of limiter on it, or just adjusting the main EQ a little bit. It's not huge. I'm just saying that it could be a little bit brighter. Brighter is the word. It's hard to put my finger on this exactly, and it works as it is. It really does. But still. What Accurate is saying, you paid for the whole spectrum, so use it. I wonder if it's compensation for speakers of the room. Maybe, looking over the way you're monitoring your stuff makes sense. But maybe it's also just a matter of you getting into the mood and just working on it, being accustomed to it. And that's what's happened. That's what happens. But you can't go wrong with jazzy chords on some kind of Rhodes or electric piano with tremolo. This. Right here, you know what you're getting. You know what you're into. And then we have the atmospheric stuff. I love that melody too. Ba-dum bum 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 bum. Beautiful stuff. Soulful says, you're right. What a difference. Thanks for catching that. I need to go back and check the MP3. It sounds different as a WAV file. Yeah, of course it does. And, when you convert a WAV file to an MP3, there's all kinds of settings to be on the lookout for. So make sure that it's exported as, 320 kilohertz and everything just makes sense, and it's still... But of course, your WAV file is going to sound a little bit different. And if you said, thank you, what a catch, sure, I'm sure it sounds different. And yeah, awesome stuff. I just, we need to point this out. We can't just complain about the frequencies. This is a rock solid beat in its genre. And all the stuff you put in there, all the work you put in with all the details and stuff, it really benefits from all that. It really makes a big difference, and it's beautiful work. For sure. In so many ways. Really good. Sometimes I actually want to be able to make more music like that myself. And it's just hard. Honestly. Now, I'm getting all warm. I don't know what it is. Hold on, I got it. Cool. Let's see what more we have in these submissions. Over here. Cage Futaba. Hi, I'm not sure mine is gonna make it onto your channel, but I hope I can get an honest opinion. You just made it onto the show. So, yeah. I made this beat with FL Studio. I wanted it to sound like a trip hop beat that can make you feel levitate, but sensing a little bit of weakness on this one. I'm not following. I wanted it to sound like a trip hop beat that can make you feel levitate, but I'm sensing a bit of weakness on this one. Truly appreciate your content, and thanks for this review session. Love and respect from Japan, from Cage Futaba. Maybe not Futaba, but Here we are. Let's go. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Well, it's not completely fair of me to play like 2 minutes of a track like this. And I even went for 2.5 minutes. This one is, believe it or not, 4 minutes and 20 seconds long. So that says something. And a piece of music like this one should probably be appreciated and listened to in its entirety. More than just 2 minutes of listening to it to review it or whatever. I think this is, a lot of people in the chat room, I hate reverb on snares. That's an old thing. And I do. I really hate reverb on snares. I don't think it's not supposed to go on a snare sound. But in this case, I can cut this person a little bit of slack because this is not what I would. Sure, it's a beat, it's a piece of music, whatever. It's, someone said, industrial, it's whatever. To me, this feels more artistic than, what I do. I prefer this myself, that's why I make it, but this feels more artistic and more like thoughtful and more, thought-evoking, more cinematic, whatever type of word you want to use. And whenever you go more into art, I tend to go more loosey-goosey about my opinions, because if it's more art than classic beat making, I think there's even more rules that you have to follow, You're allowed to put a little bit of reverb on the snare, even though you overdid it in this case by a lot. But this is interesting, and it's a good piece of music to listen to and enjoy, but I'm not sure what's the purpose of this, Could this be used in a movie? For sure. Could this be used for like an art exhibition as the background music? For sure. The audio track for like a graffiti video. Yeah, everything like that. It totally works. But there are some issues here also. This hi-hat, this straight 8-note hi-hat, I mean, sure, that's also an artistic choice that everyone is allowed to make. To me, it's just too loud, too much. I would prefer the entire production without that hi-hat. Entirely. But then, it's evolving, slowly, becoming more interesting over time. And the more you listen to it, the more you kind of ease in on the entire situation and the vibe. And you just buy it, This, it's industrial, it's cinematic, it's emotional. Kind of cool. But then, back to this. That hi-hat is just way too much. But normally we talk about like drums, we talk about the bass line, we talk about the different things. In this case, to me, it feels like it's a soundscape more than anything. It's just audio, it's sound. There are notes, of course, but we don't have much in terms of melody. We don't have much in terms of harmonics. We don't have much in terms of rhythm. Did I say rhythm? Rhythm, melody, harmonics. It's music. It is. And it's beautiful for what it is. Let's jump in at like 4 minutes and see if something happens. Okay, obviously something happens. Okay, I like that less. Industrial music is a difficult thing because it's so subjective. If you don't get it, it's just kind of sound like noise. If you like it, you can find all sorts of qualities in it. This is cool. That type of build-up at the end there, really cool stuff. And there's a more obvious bass line too. Getting some dark stages in an old Super Mario game. Raw Diggs says it's trip hop. Appreciate it a lot. Bjork, tricky, massive attack, Portishead. That's the vibe. Yeah, but it's not. Say something like, you mentioned Bjork, massive attack, Portishead, tricky. I mean, what stands out to me about those, let's focus on Bjork, for instance. We have the vocals, for instance. That's like the main character of Bjork. And without her vocals, the music is really interesting as it is, but the vocals takes it to another step. When it comes to Portishead, sure, we recognize the grittiness and the like harshness of it, but they pretty much always have some kind of beautiful underlying melody that still makes it into a song. To me, this is music, and it's a track. It's not a song. It doesn't feel... I mean, what I'm trying to say is that it just doesn't feel as musical as it could. I would have wanted to add melody of some sort. But yeah, vocals brings the melody, as you're saying. And in that case, this is just a backing track. And in that case, I can't say anything. But as a piece of music as it is, it's really cool. It's really cinematic. It's what it is. It's also a little bit empty. Is empty the right word? I understand the massive attack kind of drums and everything, sure. But there's still something in the vibe, in the feeling that's not really there for me. Maya slaps, is it too late to submit? It's actually not. It's actually not. You're still able to submit beats. And there are a few of them now, and I'm going through them randomly, so the chance of getting picked is not super huge, but still, could be worth it. And let's move into something else. I'm talking about a single piece of music for maybe sometimes longer than you took to make it. So, oh, I got another email that I do need to read. Doesn't have anything to do with this. What? Okay, I need to get back to that email later on. For now, let's jump into the track from Mickey Cuts. My bad. Mickey Cuts. Hey, great to be here. From time to time, I'm not at work on Mondays, so I'm live. Hooray! Thanks for your work. Hope you will enjoy. Mickey Cuts is, or was, on the stream, maybe still is, has been complaining a little bit about being at work when I do this, so it's nice to have you here. Being at work sucks, I know, but Mickey Cuts with today's beat right here. No, let's go here. Mickey Cuts.
in the freezer before you chop it, and then it won't make you cry.
Damn. Okay. With the 404s. Okay. Mickey Cuts, if you're in the house, still with us, yes, you are. Please tell me something. Okay, I'm sorry. Mickey Cuts, please tell me something about how this one was made. Is this like the majority of this? Is this samples? Or just you making sounds, making it feel like a sample? I feel like I need to know that for some reason. I mean, this track right now fits my vibe 100%. So I'm not going to be fair. I'm going to say this is way better than what it might be. I don't even know. The feeling, the vibe of this one, right into my soul right now. That note right there, though, is that really, the low note going boom.
So why didn't you drop it off?
I don't know. Wow. So many cool things going on. This is, wow. To me, this is like the definition of something being well produced. Some things might be sticking out a little bit too much, being a little bit too loud. That's my first thought when I hear them, and then it just feels like, no, that's right. That's what it's supposed to be like. Those loud, over-the-top melody notes. And I like the fact that you haven't done a lot of trickery with the hi-hat. The hi-hat is pretty much... but there's so much dynamics in the entire thing. Things coming in, things coming out, like the melodies on top with the flute and then breakdowns. Well done. Well done. And just that, what's going on with the bass? Like boom, 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 boom. Shit. Yeah, Salbers said it. Every single layer is fire. And that's what it is. So
why didn't you drop it off?
You know, this loop right here. Boom, dum, one, dun, 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 dum, 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 dun, 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 dun. That could be an entire beat in itself. And in this case, it's just a section. And then it just blows out. Mickey Cuts, please answer us somehow. Are we working with samples in this case? Or have you just played a lot of stuff? How much of this is samples? And how did you make it? If I can guess, I would love for you to answer, but if I would guess, I would say that this is mostly samples. Not the bass line, you know, but the way everything goes together in terms of pitch, whew, everything just feels like it's made to be used like this. We need to just enjoy. I don't know why, but I love this one today. I love it.
But then it will make you cry.
And now,
Why didn't you drop it off?
shit. Now, something else happens. Oh my god. I mean, come on. So, Mickey Cut said, samples, the bass line is my friend playing to the beat and recorded onto the MPC. So, like the majority of the sounds here are samples. You did a lot of great work with that sample to make everything go together like this. Really impressive. Really impressive. Mickey Cuts has been submitting before, I know that much. But I don't know what beat. But I don't have like a strong recollection of standing out, you know? Mickey Cuts, this is, oof. I mean, maybe it's just the fact that it resonates with my vibe right now. Maybe that plays a part in it. But this is also really extremely well produced, extremely well put together, and well. Some air candy and some. Oh, I think we've heard enough. I think we've said enough. No one in the chat room is saying anything negative about this one either. This is. Mickey usually brings it. Is that true? Is that true? It's been a while since we had a beat from Mickey Cuts played. So I can't really remember if it's normally on this type of level, but this is crazy. Mickey Cuts, I mean, hats off to you. Salute. This is just flat out awesome. But we need to move on. We can't, even though I want to hear the entire track from beginning to end again, we're not gonna. Someone also asked how many beats we have, and right now it's hard for me to count. 1, 2, I'm gonna try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't do that. Fuck. Mark as unread. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Right now we have 20 beats. We have 20 beats. 19 because I listened to this one. This is from Symphonic Beats. We already played that one. Or another one from the same one, but we're not going to have the same producer featured twice, you know. We got to have some type of limit to the shenanigans. Now, I'm going to try to move on a little bit more quickly because we've already been live for almost 2 hours. I want to play some more music, but I'm not necessarily forcing myself into digesting. Digesting? What's that called when you... We don't need to overanalyze stuff. Now, let's play this one. Slim Tony. Hey, Accurate, thanks for making it. Thanks for making this. It's always cool to get criticized. I made this beat 2 weeks ago, and I would love your opinions on this one. Slim Tony. Slim Tony. The beat is called Mallet 85 BPM. You know, we like mallets. We like 85 BPM. Let's see if we like this one.
Oh, shit.
Okay, maybe I'm just in a really good mood right now. I don't know, but this is also really good. The level, guys. I mean, weeks or months ago, we had submissions that went like crazy, both left and right, in every kind of direction. Stuff that felt like people's like first beats or whatever. Today the level is crazy. Honestly. This track right here, again, so well put together. Has everything going for it. The bass line is really, really good. Really good. And I think we're learning something from this. Like putting a little bit of extra effort on the bass line, making the bass line work musically with everything else goes a long way. And what's really cool about this one, again, we're not going to talk too much about like music theory and stuff, but the chord progression here and the tension that it brings, sometimes towards the end of the loop, so like unexpected, but not too spicy, and just tasteful. That's the word, tasteful. That chord, I would go bam, 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 but you did something else. Opening it up like that is just beautiful, beautiful. And then the lead melody, we can't not mention the lead melody. Whew. We can't not mention the lead melody. Again, tasteful. Tasteful. I mean, after a while, you start like not thinking about it, but the thing with the mallets going bang, boom, bang, boom, bang, boom, bang, boom, bang, boom, crazy. And the horns. Then, to my taste, this entire break without the drums went on for a little bit too long for me. But again, we're listening to two music. We're listening to 2 minutes of the track. So it's maybe not fair. But yeah, great stuff. This is also a great usage of the frequency spectrum. Because we have at least one strong element in every like section of the thing. The lows, the low mids, the high mids, and the highs. Everything just has something going on that's interesting enough to keep my attention. Without being like too much. Yeah, the ping pong delay is my favorite through line. It's a really clever arrangement. Yeah, I mean, this is... let's just move on. You guys are way too good these days. This is just too good. And this one came in from Slim Tony. I mean, Slim Tony made some fantastic music 2 weeks ago and sent it here. It's always cool to be critiqued. Yeah, I don't have a lot of critique for this one. This is just... it sits so nicely in the pocket too. I mean, there's... And that... come on. Great stuff. Thank you, Slim Tony. Not Big Tony Styles, but Slim Tony. Great stuff. Let's go for Sixton. Sixton Gustafsson says very fast beat / song, jungle / drum and bass. No samples, only MIDI, and the drums are recorded in my bedroom. Okay, Sixton. This might be the first beat today that's way different from everything else. Jungle, drum and bass. What happened with the playlist? Okay, there. So, Sixton, I think you know me enough this by now. I might actually hate this. Who knows? Sixton Gustafsson. Well, this is not my type of music at all. It's better than like proper EDM, super electronic stuff. And you know, to me, it feels like maybe just because I read the email, but very fast beat / song. To me, it sounds like maybe you put this together really quickly. And like revisiting it and trying to find a different balance between the different elements would probably make sense. However, this is kind of cool. Listening to it is I find it difficult to listen to because it's just too energetic and too chaotic to my taste. It's a little bit much. But when you start like leaning in towards the bass line and the section over here, I do appreciate the entire like funk thing that's going on here. For real. The drums are nice, but too much. But together with the bass line in that section, it makes sense to me. Over here, though, those like orchestra hits or whatever, they're way too loud. Just takes the entire... I mean, I can't hear anything else but the... Just impossible to listen to. Over here, though, easier for someone like me to appreciate that. But you played the drums in your bedroom, so it's live drums. I mean, you know how to play the drums, for sure. And produce music in general. I just think, like, revisiting this production and nailing it down on a few things would make sense. But I'm not going to dwell on this one because it's not my genre. I don't really know what I'm talking about. But to me, needs to be worked on a little bit. Okay, now that one's not read and that one's played. Cool. So we have a lot of the ones in that section. Let's go over here. Let's find this one. So me being Swedish is an issue here. In Swedish, this is I-maja, but I guess it's I-maja, 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 I-M-A-J-A, so imager. Imager slaps, something like that. I made this using a song from the Kirk State Sample Challenge. I love this new original production I did. I hope you all have a chance to listen, and thanks for the opportunity. Okay, cool. Again, the name here, imager slaps, I don't know. That's the file over here. So I don't know what this is. Let's just have a listen. No. Okay, cool. So somehow it feels like you have something really cool going on here, but you kind of missed the mark in some ways. I don't want to be too harsh about anything. This is a solid production, I think, but the mixing and how the different things are being presented doesn't really make sense to me. But that's me being like stuck in my ways and whatever. People are calling out the old Eminem sound, guilty conscious kind of sound. Well, Beat Owl, it definitely screams for a rapper. And yeah, it does. And in that case, with a rapper, it would kind of change up the whole game, for sure. But to me, there are a lot of cool details going on here that doesn't really come through because of how things has been placed in the mix. I'm that old that I can't help but thinking about like Cypress Hill. Just the whole wah, wah thing that DJ Muggs used to do. You're not doing the same thing, but it kind of works the same way. the main part here that I just keep having an issue to not listen to. It's kind of cool, but it becomes a little bit too much because it's in the entire track. Wherever I put my playhead, it's going to be there. And we can hear in the background, if we try to not listen to the wah thing, in the background here, in the bass spectrum, that's some pizzicato strings or something like that. Let me just double check my output here. Okay, I got the... Let's see. And a piano. You know, all that stuff needs to be... Not needs to be, it's my humble opinion, but I think you want to like rearrange how things are placed in the mix volume-wise. Because all these different pizzicato things, or piano, or whatever it is, if you just place those in a more like... I just want them louder. That's what I'm trying to say, but in a really complicated way. I want those louder, and I want the whole quieter or just left out of the mix for a few sections. It becomes, it becomes all I hear. You have a nice swing, you have nice notes in general, everything just works, but that entire sound is just way too much. It becomes really, really repetitive, even though it's not. I acknowledge all the stuff that's in here in the background, but sure, it needs one more sequence too, maybe, but just giving all these things that actually provides a little bit of variation. If you take those things up in the mix and just give them more space in the beat, it would be so much more fun to listen to. Maybe you're not looking for something that's fun to listen to because you just want a rapper on here. That's one thing. But still, if it's going to hold up as an instrumental and be fun to listen to, you need to find some way to find some more variation. And taking this wah thing down and giving more space to the other stuff that's actually interesting, I think that makes more sense. And that super saturated kick drum, it's a thing, it's cool. It's a little bit much to me, but it's my taste, so that's, who made this? And are you speaking about it? Imaja Slaps. I saw you here before. There you are. I need it. Okay. I really appreciate the feedback. Okay. Maybe it's, as Made So Well talked about before, maybe it's something about your listening environment that makes it a certain way. I'm listening on headphones in mono, and this is how I perceive this track. If you play this on speakers and it's a whole different vibe with rappers freestyling or whatever, it's a different thing. But as a piece of music, just as it is right now, I think this one would benefit a lot from just being shifted around in terms of how the things are placed in the mix. These aggressive drums works, and the bass line and everything works. This walking pattern you have going on, it's nice. I just want less of the repetitive stuff and more of the stuff that creates variation, because they are in here. Just really hard to point out. what would happen if you listen to the track in your sampler or DAW or whatever and just took that sample out? That one. I think there's a lot of cool stuff to discover in this track when you start looking for it, but you shouldn't necessarily have to look for it. And he says, I'm gonna definitely give things a go. I want to make music better for listeners, for the world. I do love my stuff though. You should. You should love your stuff. This is great stuff. What I'm pointing out is maybe not even necessary to consider. But you sent it to me and I'm going to say, I'm going to share my opinions about it. And I think you put a lot of work into this beat that's a little bit hard to appreciate and to find if you're not like analyzing the stuff that I'm like what I'm trying to do here. And I think just rearranging stuff in the mix, mixing it differently would make a lot of sense. Skipping around like that tells me a lot. This sound that I'm talking about, it's always there. Over here. Over here. You have all the cool stuff here with the piano. Yeah, cool. So don't take this the wrong way. I'm not hating on it. This is a solid production. You put a lot of work in there. You made a lot of right choices. But when it comes to the mixing, I just think a few elements takes up too much space and the good stuff takes up too little space. Yeah, it drove the car for sure. Yeah. It feels like, yeah, cars. A race car, like a track. Yeah. It has some driving fast vibes, which is cool. Really cool. Thanks a lot for submitting. Hope to see you here again. I don't think I've seen you before. Great stuff, great stuff, great stuff. Thank you. Now, we are running on overtime. We are running on overtime, so let's just do 2 more. And I know it's not fair. I've gotten a lot of submissions, and I'm not going to be able to cover it all. That's what it is. And we have even more down there. Oh, okay. So again, from you guys, yeah, I can do this. I can just show the unread one. Cool. Give me a number between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So now we have 21 beats. I'm going to close the submission soon, but after the stream this time. 21 beats. Give me a random number, the first one. And I'm not going to count from the top. So if you just send the beat and you write number 1, it's not going to be you. I'm going to count from the bottom up. A random number right now. So the first one was number 3. And also, real quick, just because someone said something about it. I am in Sweden, right? I don't think this is internationally a thing, but here it is. I'm drinking my favorite one right now, by the way, Pepsi Max Lemon. So the caps on these ones are actually supposed to be left like this. You can take them off, but the plastic is made in a way that you can do. Now I broke it halfway, but you can actually fold it down like this and it locks like that, which is a thing. It's an environmental thing that we do in Europe. This has been like this for like a year. So, the caps doesn't go anywhere in the nature because they stuck on the bottle. I like it. It's cool. Number 3, from the bottom of the ones we haven't played. So 1, 2, 3. That's Raphael Lore. No, my bad. No, I shouldn't have said it. No. 1, 2, 3. Actually, this one. Sorry, Rodex. That's number 3 is this one. Keto Beats. Keto. High accurate. This is my second time submitting a beat. Thank you. And the whole chat for creating such an amazing community. Your feedback meant a lot to me. For many of us, this space is our first step outside the comfort zone. Thinking about it like that is kind of crazy. About the beat. I made this one on the SP404. It's a mix of samples and live playing. I ran into some distortion issues. I hope it's not too distracting. Okay. Keto Beats. Thanks for the nice message too. Having stuff like that to read on the stream is, it just elevates the entire thing. I'm a fan. Keto Beats, let's go.
Chop, 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 chop. What?
Cool. So I wrote in the chat that I made this poll as the beat was playing, so allow me to just listen to a little bit more.
Chop, chop.
Okay, so the snare sound here is amazing. I love the snare. I love the vibe, the whole dark, mysterious, kind of evil, but still not too crazy. I think it's cool. My problem with this one is like this middle section over here, I think. After this. I mean, we can't complain about the drum programming or the drum sounds at all. That's just fire. Awesome stuff. But something happens when you play a bass line that low in the frequency spectrum, at least on headphones. It feels like the bass, even though the notes and everything is like fun, it feels like it lacks a little bit of... I had this word before. It lacks definition somehow. It just becomes muddy and rumbly, and that's cool, but also it needs a little bit of definition. Listen. Yeah, I actually think, I know this is samples and stuff, but it feels somehow that everything would benefit from just being transposed a couple of semitones. Leaving the bass going like dum 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 instead of going somehow. Hard to explain, but it just feels like I need more notes. I need more of the actual, like, distinguishable note value that's there. I know it's cool as it is, it's low pitched and it's dark and whatever, but maybe you took it a little bit too far. Making it lack dynamics and the word I had before, definition. Oh, that's a nice word. Stormborn says it's an unsettling beat. In a good way and very unique. Unsettling is the word. It's the right word to use because it's unsettling. It's almost uncomfortable. In a cool way. Intriguing and kind of awesome and creative. But, you know, just a few semitones up, just transpose everything, what would happen? Would it become less interesting? Maybe. Would it become more musical? Maybe. To me, that's the place. This is where it's obvious. It just it goes too low in the frequencies. Don't get me wrong, it's cool. It's really cool. It's moody and it has this whole vibe. It's nice, but what would happen? That's my only question. What would happen if everything was slightly higher in pitch? To get a little bit more definition and a little bit more body in the low frequencies. Right now, it's cool. It's muddy and it's dark and it's, you know, emotional. But what would happen if we... Other than that, sure, the drums, fantastic. And these whole like da-dum, 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 the notes and the samples, it's cool. I like the flow of it a lot. I like the vibe of it. But I enjoy thinking about these things. That's why I do this concept of live streams. I think it's fun to overanalyze things. It's just a hobby of mine. Keto Beats says, thanks Accurate and thanks chat. A lot of people are saying some good stuff. Me too. I think this is good. I'm just trying to like nail what I think is not good. That's not me being negative or overly critical. It's me trying to be helpful. I think that's coming through, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. The programming of everything is rock solid. It's just the low notes going too low that it becomes muddy and not... I've said it, you know. You know what I'm saying. Stormborn says, thank you for sharing this with the community. And 100%, that goes for all of you. We have more beats than we're able to cover today. And I asked the question in the chat if we're going to revisit. The question goes, should I go back to the submissions from this live stream on the next one or having you submit again? And everyone, no. 67% of you says revisit and 36% of you saying new beats. And it goes a little bit up and down, but yeah, leaning towards going back to the submissions that we haven't gotten to yet. Cool. Mad negative. Nah, jokes. This is cool. The rhythm, everything is in there. It's just a matter of me being cranky about the bass being too low. But hey, we said 2 more beats and that's 1, so let's do 1 more. Then it's time for me to go to bed. Tomorrow I have a lot of work in the garden on my driveway. We gotta put pebbles? Is that the word? Like 2,000 kilos, 2 tons of small rocks going on my driveway and stuff. It's a whole thing. It's going to be exhausting. But that's my project for tomorrow. And I need to go to sleep before that. So 1 more track, and you know how it goes. I'm going to ask you guys to give me 1 more random number. And I'm just going to go with the first one. 1 more random number, please. Blaze Beats says this stream was fire. Beat Owl follows up with this stream really was fire today. And I can't agree more. I mean, the level we're on right now, someone said 7, so let's do 7. The level of beat making skills is crazy. And I'm not sure if we're ready to call this thing a community just yet, but if we were to use that word, I would say the talent in this community is so crazy. You guys are really impressive. You're making fire beats, sending them over here for us to listen to. It's magical. Now, the first number I got was 7, so let's go with number 7. From the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me double check on that before saying anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Officially this one. From AD Beats. Hey again, accurate. Hopefully you'll get to review this one today. And I did. This is the last beat for this live stream, and it's from AD Beats. The track is called Supreme1.mp3, and we are about to play it. Oh yeah, pebbles is not the word. Gravel is the word. Pebbles is the word skaters use when they, you know. Gravel. Yeah. 2 tons of it. It's gonna be a project. I hope we're gonna get 2 tons. I'm not sure. Billy Pad says, pick that Billy Pads. It's been a minute since the new format of Listen. I'm not even sure that's true. Billy Pads, you have been featured a lot. And you always do these things, telling me to pick you. And I'm not. I think I did that once just because you were up in my face. the last beat for tonight from AD Beats. Let's fucking go. Well, yeah. Let's try to do that and go out on this one for real. Damn. This is a really dope track to... my bad. This is a really dope track to end the show with. For sure. This was really good. The first thing that strikes me about this one is that it might be a little bit over compressed or like, you know, overly mastered when you take a brick wall emitter and just slam it to cram the volume out of it. It feels like this beat should have a lot of more dynamics and stuff in it, and it's just being pushed a little bit too hard. But we're really like splitting hairs at this point. This track was fantastic. Really good. Someone said it makes me want to rhyme on it, and yeah, kind of me too. Being an old school rapper who hasn't, you know, I don't rap. I don't. And it's been years. But this one kind of makes me want to give it a shot. Jesus, that's too loud. My bad. Two different vocal samples like that. One being this main choir thing, and then the on top of it. That's beautiful. And then you also have the aggression and the power and everything on in the track, the rest of the track with the drums and the bass and stuff. It's a nice little balance there. It's a nice contrast between 1 and 2. And that one. And then the super high-pitched synth on top of it. It's just, this one has everything. Again, you guys are crazy. The level of beats in the stream is nothing that I could ever dream of. And ending it with something like this, that's beautiful, kind of hard, cinematic, and also kind of tells a story. Great stuff. I do think it's overly processed, though. Maybe on like the master level of it, on the main output. you've done a little bit too much. And that type of using a hi-hat like that is something I normally hate. I just don't do it myself and I don't like it. But in this context, works so well. The whole tss, 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 tss on the backbeat. But having this type of swing works really, really well. Really well. Great samples used in a great way in a really good composition of music, of sounds. It goes like the main choir in the background, just going between two notes basically, doesn't even become an issue because so much else is just adding to the dynamics. Well, and you know, to take something away from this whole like super high-pitched synth sound that just acts like a sound effect, but it's not, adds a transition between one loop and the other in a way that's really clever. Yeah, awesome stuff. Thank you. This is from AD Beats. Great job, great work, and a really, really great way to end this show. Really good stuff. I appreciate it. My only problem is, again, the mastering, or like the end processing of it. Might be a little bit overly saturated or whatever. So, yeah, Blaze Beats has an idea here. Pick the two favorites for us to vote for. It's not a bad idea, but at this point, pretty much impossible. So if I just open up VLC, we have played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 beats today. So if we wanted to vote for, I mean, I can't even, no. I mean, honestly, that's not why we're doing this. It's not a competition. It's nothing like that. And music is such an objective thing. Music is such a subjective thing, right? So like having some kind of popularity contest here of saying which beat was better than the other one, I don't think that's what we're here for. It's not a bad idea, but you know, also keeping track of the different beats and picking two favorites myself and presenting them to you. James Rockwell said it would take forever. Yeah, it would. So it's not a bad idea, but we're not doing it. You know. Yeah, subjective, objective. I keep fucking things up. I'm sorry. However, we do have a poll going. Should I go back to the submissions from this stream on the next one, or having you submit again? 59% said revisit, and that's probably most of you guys that did submit but wasn't featured. And some people said new beats, because maybe you were featured. You got your beat played. I should have thought of this before, but I think let's decide this right now. What we're doing Next week is just me gonna be, hanging out, making beats, chit-chatting about stuff. I want to dive into this issue I have over here. Maybe switching to the Tractor Control C2 mixer again, because it's a great mixer and I love it. And getting this new Mark Scratch was basically just me desperately wanting to switch to Serato. Now I can use Serato with my Tractor mixer, so maybe that's the transition I'm going to do instead. Maybe we're going to talk about that next week, or maybe even putting some work into doing that next week, or just making beats, chit-chatting about stuff and whatever. The week after that is going to be another beat review, and for that show, I'm keeping the stuff that I got today. I'm going to keep these submissions that we have coming in. And the last beat that came in came 22:53. So that's 2 minutes ago, which tells me that I need to close the form right now. I'm going to do that live on stream because I want to. So we have a few things we need to do. First of all, that. Cool. Editing my website live on stream. The most exciting stuff you've ever seen. So right now that one should be taken out, and we need to go there, I think. Let's just make sure that I'm on the right thing. Yeah, we are. So we need to. Yeah, me working on this thing is not good content, I know, but it's what I'm doing. Because it's my fucking my channel. I can do whatever I want. So no, maybe that's not what I want to do. No, my bad. I want to troll you guys if I can. So let's duplicate. Okay, cool. So what I'm saying is that I'm going to keep the beats from this live stream that wasn't featured, and I'm going to use them for the next show in 2 weeks. That's like the opposite of what I said I was going to do, but that's what I'm going to do. And save that page over there. So let me just double check this real quick so I don't mess anything up. So this one is like that instead. Super random. Save. Okay. Now the submission form is closed, and it works. You can't find the oh no 8:28 p.m. That's right now. Okay, so we have another one. Okay, whatever. I need to double check on this. Okay, cool. Okay, so the number has changed. We now have 54% of you saying revisit this list of submissions, and 46% of you saying new beats. But it's still the majority saying, I can't be asking you guys this because you have an actual opinion, and you know. Jesus, I should have thought about this before. So having you guys submitting new beats makes everything as live as possible. And that's what I enjoy about this. If you are here for the beginning of the stream, going into the website, submitting a beat, you're probably still going to be in the chat room. And then we have this great thing. If you submitted a beat today, who says you're going to be here in 2 weeks when I actually play your beat? That's why I like the idea of new beats. But still, the fact that you submitted beats today and you weren't played doesn't really make sense either. So I'm not sure what to think about this. Does it make sense to... Well, now I've already said it, so I'm just going to have to commit. Next week... No. In 2 weeks, we're doing another beat review, and we're going to revisit the same submissions from today. So if you submitted a beat for this show and you weren't featured, you're probably going to be featured next week. I mean, it's still too many beats to feature in one show, and I'm painting myself into a corner. Fuck this. Now I've said it, this is how we gotta do it. So, whatever. Yeah. That's what it is. But next week, maybe some fiddling about with my scratch mixers, or maybe just making some beats with notes like these. That's gonna be beautiful. So, that's actually it for this live show today. Now, can I close the poll? I can. Thanks a lot for being here, and thanks a lot for submitting beats. You guys are awesome. Sending in beats, giving each other feedback, being all nice about it. Fucking beautiful thing in general. It's just awesome. And if you enjoy this concept and don't care about what I do on the off weeks, that's also fine. Come back here in 2 weeks to check out the next episode of Beat Review. That's a thing you can do. So, yeah. It's crazy. This live stream was awesome. The beats we played today, you know, we just had such a great quality across the board. Fire beats, really great stuff. Awesome. I'm still kind of like trying to wrap my head around it. Everything was nice, more or less. Really great. So thanks a lot for tonight, guys. And I'm going to see you guys next week for my live stream, all about me and my stuff. And in 2 weeks, beat review again. I think I like this concept. It works. Now my NPC won't shut off, so I'm going to have to do that. Cool. For the last time, and for real this time around, thanks a lot for being here. Thanks a lot for submitting and being a part of this entire thing. Gotta go. See you guys again. Peace out. Ha det gott. And the microphone. Yeah. My bad, but peace out, gangsters. See you.